Good morning. If I could get all senators to please take your seats. If I could get all senators to please take your seats and cease all audible conversations. Pursuant to the proclamation by His Excellency the Governor, the time for convening the General Assembly having arrived, I hereby call this special session to order. This time I'd like to ask that all unauthorized persons exit our chamber. The Secretary will read a proclamation from the Governor convening the special session of the General Assembly.
By the Governor of the State of Georgia, a proclamation convening the General Assembly of Georgia in special session. Whereas Article 5, Section 2, Paragraph 7 of the Constitution of the State of Georgia grants the Governor the power to convene a special session of the General Assembly by proclamation, stating and thereby limiting the purposes of the special session. And whereas Code Section 38-3-51 requires that, as a condition precedent to declaring that a state of emergency exists as a result of a public health emergency, the Governor must issue a call for a special session of the General Assembly. And whereas the Governor has determined that a public health emergency exists in the state of Georgia due to the spread of the novel coronavirus, COVID-19, and warrants an emergency declaration requiring the General Assembly to concur with or terminate such emergency declaration in special session. And therefore, by virtue of the power and authority conferred upon me by the Constitution of Georgia, I, Brian Kemp, Governor of the State of Georgia, do hereby convene the General Assembly of this state in special session on Monday, March 16th, 2020 at 8:00 a.m. for the express purpose of concurring with or terminating the public health state of emergency declared by Executive Order 03.14.20.01, given under my hand and seal of the State of Georgia at the City of Atlanta on this 14th day of March 2020, the Honorable Brian Kemp, Governor of the State of Georgia.
It's now time for our morning roll call. Are there any motions to excuse? Chair recognizes the senator from the 18th.
Good morning, Mr. President. I would ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 32nd for business outside the Capitol.
Without objection, the senator from the 32nd is excused. The chair recognizes the senator from the 16th.
I move for excuse for the senator from the 14th.
Without objection, the senator from the 14th is excused. The chair recognizes the senator from the 5th.
Mr. President, I'm asking for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 36th and the senator from 40.
Without objection, the senators from the 36th and the 14th has already been excused. Chair recognizes 40th. Without objection, the senator from the 40th is excused. Chair recognizes the senator from the 48th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 2nd.
Without objection, the senator from the 2nd is excused. The chair recognizes the senator from the 9th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent the senator from the 8th be excused.
Without objection, the senator from the 8th is excused. Are there any additional motions to excuse? The chair sees none. The secretary will call the roll of the senators. Signify your presence by voting the yea switch. The secretary will unlock the machine. right, I'd like to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance, and then I will serve as your chaplain of the day. Join me in our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag, to the principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, moderation. So on the way in this morning, I realized that there was not a pastor of the day scheduled, and a little nervous. Not used to serving as a chaplain, and these are important times, and I'm humbled at the opportunity to do this. 8 years ago, a good friend of mine asked me a very, what I thought was an easy question. Thought it was an easy question, but it turned out to be one of the most difficult questions that I've ever had asked of me, but it changed the direction of my life. He asked me, what's your faith all about? What is your sector of faith? Describe it to me. And I said very quickly and very proudly, I said, I'm a Christian. And I said, you know that. We were in Bible study together. I said, what are you? And he says, I'm a Jesus follower. And so it launched me into this journey of studying who Jesus was, what he represented. And I stumbled across a verse, John 13:35, that says, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. So this word love is hard for a guy who played baseball in a locker room that was paid to look tough every day. And it's tough for somebody who's raising 3 boys to really embrace the word love. So what does that really mean, and what does that look like in our lives? And, look, we're in politics, right? Sometimes it's a little difficult to embrace what the true meaning of love really is. And so I wrestled with this whole notion of, so you're telling me it's not about how religious I am. It's not about how many rules I follow. It's not about how many Bible verses I memorize. It's not about how much money I give to others. It's not about how many times I go to church. It's how I truly love somebody. That's the true measure. I thought I was pretty good at it, right? Because I went to church and I sang about love and I prayed about love and I studied love. But did I really do it? Right? Did I love my kids even when they were wrong? Did I love my spouse? Did I love my neighbors? Did I love my opponents? Did I love the people that I was with and against in politics? The answer to that was not enough. Was there a single person in the world that would recognize my faith because of the way I love them? And the answer 8 years ago was no. What I realized is it takes time and intentionality to love others. I stumbled across this in a devotional. I want to read this to you. It's brief. You cannot live a loving lifestyle as a hermit. You spell love T-I-M-E. It takes time to love other people. If you love your friends, you've got to spend time with them. If you love your kids, you've got to spend time with them. If you love Jesus, you've got to spend time with him. Love always costs time and energy, but it's always worth it. In the coming days and in the coming weeks, we are going to have time that we haven't seen before show up in our days. I encourage every one of us to spend that time loving others. If you would, please join me in prayer. God, thank you for the gift of love. Thank you for the incredible example we've seen with Jesus and how to love, when to love. Continue to protect us. Give us wisdom that can only be described as godly. Let us have the wisdom as strong as Solomon to understand the problems we're going to face, to understand the solutions, and to be able to communicate those. Let us love in the easy times. Let us love in the difficult times. Draw this state and draw this nation closer together as we face some difficult times ahead. Protect us and fill our hearts with joy and love, even in the toughest days. It's in your name we pray. Amen. If you would please stand by for a moment while we organize the resolutions. Does any senator wish to rise on a point of personal privilege? That's our first miracle of the day. Mr. Secretary, can you please read a resolution?
Senate Resolution Number 2 by Senators Miller, Dugan, Gooch, and Kennedy, a resolution to notify the House of Representatives that the Senate has convened and for other purposes.
Is there objection? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. Mr. Secretary, please read another resolution.
Senate Resolution Number 3 by Senator Miller of the 49th, Dugan of the 30th, Gooch of the 51st, and Kennedy of the 18th. A resolution to notify the governor that the General Assembly has convened and for other purposes.
Is there objection to adoption of the resolution? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted.
Well, we're already past leaving 2 and 3. One is the most important. One now. None of those.
We're waiting for a couple of pieces of paper to be printed to put on the desks. If you would stand at ease for a moment, we'll be back with you. Secretary, can you please read the resolution?
Senate Resolution Number 1 by Senators Miller the 49th, Dugan of the 30th, Gooch of the 51st, Kennedy of the 18th. A resolution adopting the rules of the Senate for the 2020 special session of the General Assembly of Georgia and for other purposes.
What's the? All right, we're going to go on to a roll call vote on this. The question is on the adoption of He's waived. Any senator wish to speak for or against the resolution? Chair sees none. The question is on the adoption of Senate Resolution 1, concurring. All those in favor of the resolution signify by voting yea. Opposed, nay. The Secretary will unlock the machine. On the resolution, the yeas are 50, the nays are 0, and this resolution is adopted. The next resolution is being printed by the Secretary's office, and we will stand at ease for a few minutes. The Senate will come back to order. The Senate will come back to order. Mr. Secretary, can you please read the resolution?
Senate Resolution Number 5 by Senator Miller of the 49th, Dugan of the 30th, Gooch of the 51st, and Kennedy of the 18th. A resolution concurring with Brian P. Kemp's Executive Order 0314.20.01 declaring a public health state of emergency and for other purposes. Whereas in late 2019, a new and significant outbreak of respiratory diseases caused by a new coronavirus known as COVID-19 was identified in Wuhan, China. And whereas on March 14, 2020, under the authority granted in Code Section 38-3-51 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated, Governor Brian P. Kemp declared a public health state of emergency and issued Executive Order 03142001 as a necessary and appropriate action to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Georgia's residents and visitors to ensure COVID-19 remains controlled throughout the state. Now therefore be it resolved by the General Assembly of Georgia that the members of this body concur with Executive Order 03142001 issued by Governor Brian P. Kemp declaring a public health state of emergency. Be it further resolved that the public health state of emergency shall terminate on April 13, 2020 at 11:59 p.m. unless it is renewed by the governor. Be it further resolved that, pursuant to Code Section 38-3-51 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated, the General Assembly, by concurrent resolution, may terminate this state of emergency at any time. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Chair recognizes the Majority Leader to speak to the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. President. A couple of years ago when we were up here, don't worry about it, we never come back into a special session. And now this is 2 in 2 years, totally different circumstances. Now, we're asked to come in today in this special session to ratify what the governor needs to do in his wisdom and with the experts around him to limit the flow, the expansion of COVID-19 across the state. This is one of those situations where there's half the population's out there going, are they overreacting? And the other half are going, are they doing enough? And unfortunately, the only way we can know if we were overreacting is to not do anything and then see where the disease takes us. The governor, in his wisdom, has decided that's not the course we're willing to take. That we want to get out in front of this and limit the impact it's going to have on our most vulnerable, which is primarily the elderly and those with weakened immune systems, by doing some common sense stuff. Now, there's a couple different things in this. We're going to limit the amount of trucking that goes across to prevent the spread of disease, but most of this is to support the Department of Public Health in carrying out of their duties. Now, everybody has seen the information that we've sent out. We've tried to include the minority leader in our conversation so he can get it out to the minority party as much as possible. I think everything that I've gotten, we've shared with him. So, is it important? Yes. Is it critical? Yes. Is it dire? Not if we pass this and get in front of it. We see a lot of the best of the state of Georgia over the last few days. I know that y'all have seen it in your areas, I've seen it in mine, where citizens have come forward to take up collections to fill the gap of the services that we're going to be suspending for the next little bit to make sure that nobody goes without. They're looking at us to do the same. They're looking at us to be the example, to lead the way. I ask for your favorable consideration of this resolution. I yield the well.
Senator has yielded the well. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the resolution? The chair sees none. The question is on the adoption of Senate Resolution 5, concurring with the governor's declaration of a public health emergency. All those in favor of the resolution will vote yea. Yea. Opposed, nay. The secretary will unlock the machine. On the adoption of the resolution, the yeas are 50, the nays are 0, and the resolution is adopted. Based upon the rules that we passed a few minutes ago for this special session, that resolution is being immediately transmitted to the House. This body will stand at ease until the House takes up the action.